Hi guys, today I'd like to introduce to you the Ganzo G702 with tan colored scales, a nice pointy blade with a little bit of decorative holes in there. It's pretty cool looking. Stick around and come down to the tabletop with me and we'll take a good look at this knife. What we have right now to look at is another one of the knives that's very early in the Ganzo series. This is the G702. It's got some really neat accents on the blade here. It's got a handle style that is fairly reminiscent of the G701. So you can see the similarities there. If we go to the other side, you can see that they've done a similar kind of treatment with those milled out lines. So they've had, pretty much a lot of the same team probably designing and working on figuring out exactly how they're going to make this knife as well. This one's a nice clip point, a nice round belly. It's also got that saber grind, but it doesn't come up very far at all. So you've got, you don't have an awful lot of metal to work with. You'll sharpen it a few times, 7 or 8 times, and the blade's going to get too thick to work with. And, it'll be what it is. That's how you're going to have to use it. There are some strange things going on with this knife, though. So let's take a look at this one thing. Let's measure it right at the front of this cutout. Some might call it a blood groove with some holes. If we start at the top where the grind ends and go to the finished edge of the blade, what are we looking at? We're looking at 9/16, maybe a tiny bit more than that. But on the other side, if we do the same thing at the same spot, look at that. We've got another 1/8 of an inch. If you look at where these holes are, you can see it even more in greater detail. We've got the distance from the top of the grind to that part of the knife. Dang, my brain is just not getting words. It is early afternoon, and I probably should have laid down for a while to give my knees a rest, but it is what it is. It's 3/16 over here, and on this side, we're looking at, whoops, go up a little bit. We're looking at 5/16. So the grind's not even from side to side. The grind, ends with this wedge. That point there is at a different spot on this side than the other. It's just kind of odd that they messed up that much. That being said, Ganzo is a growing company. They're getting better, and they're getting better quickly. This is just their second knife in the 700 series, and their 700 series started out of the blocks quite a bit better than their 600 series. As I mentioned with their first knife, the G701 and the G702, I think both of these knives are quite a bit better than anything in their 600 series. You can just do an awful lot with this. Things that I don't like: proprietary pivot screws still that they started with. This time they did the clip, so you've got very deep carry, except for you've got this glass breaker, which I really don't find much use for it. A glass breaker, I've got dedicated glass breakers in the glove boxes of my vehicles. I don't really need them on a knife. And sometimes when you're holding it, when you're just learning how to use the knife, see, I can't do that same. I'll show you what I can't do. Here's the G701. I can't use the access lock to make the blade jump back and forth. It's just a little bit too tight for that. And I can't change the tightness of it because I can't adjust the pivot screws. It's fairly free. It's just that little bit tight enough. And the springs for the axis lock are just a little bit tighter than than the G701. So, and I can't adjust it because of the pivot screw. If you really like this knife, you like this really nice deep carry clip, you like the general shape of it, you like the color and the style of the blade, go ahead, go buy it. It's available, I think, in green and black and this tan color. No longer in production, I believe. So if you want to get one of these, it's definitely going to be less than 20 bucks. Go and get one now because they'll be gone for good in short order. In this knife, they also have the nested liners as they do in the G701, but they've got their sort of jimping here in the G10 instead of having the liner come out and provide the jimping. And I got to be honest with you, the little bit of jimping that they had in the G701 is better than their implementation on the G10, on the G702. So there you go, a good looking knife that's easy enough to open with a flick and close with the flick of the axis lock. I'm just not that good at opening it with the axis lock. Once it's deployed, I'm good at closing it. So it's a fun knife to play with a little bit, but it's not super. This knife is actually, I'm very willing to sell it. If you want to buy it from me, no problem. As is the G701. So if you want to contact me and you want to buy these knives, I'm happy to do that. Remember that shipping either within or out of Canada is quite expensive. And I'm willing to sell these for a really good price, but the shipping will also have to be covered completely. So there you go, the G702. If you like this video, click on like, share, and subscribe, please. That helps me a lot. And whenever you're using a cutting edge, cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Bye now.